The ship moved through the darkness of space like a small light in an endless ocean. Captain Doan Park stood at the bridge window and looked at the stars. He had dreamed of this moment since he was a child. Humanity was finally going to meet others who lived among the stars. The year was 2247. After 200 years of trying, humans had built ships that could travel faster than light. The United Earth government had spent everything they had on this mission. They called the ship the Olive Branch because they came in peace. They came with hope. They came with open hands. Doan turned to look at his crew. 50 men and women, the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, and engineers. All of them had left their families behind. All of them believed in this mission. Ambassador Unicong walked onto the bridge. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She had spent 30 years as a diplomat on Earth, solving conflicts between nations. Now she would try to make friends with alien species. "Captain," she said, "we are getting close to the signal source." Doan nodded. 3 months ago, Earth had received a message from deep space. It was a greeting, an invitation. Someone out there knew about humanity and wanted to meet them. "All hands, prepare for contact," Doan announced through the ship's speakers. The crew moved to their stations. Hearts beat fast. Hands trembled with excitement and fear. This was the moment that would change everything. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, near a planet called Kepler 4 to be. What they saw made everyone stop breathing. Ships. Hundreds of ships. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. They were beautiful in a strange way, with smooth curves and glowing lights. They surrounded the olive branch like giants looking at an ant. "We are being hailed," said the communications officer. Una stepped forward. "Open the channel." A face appeared on the screen. It was not human. The creature had 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern. Its skin was dark blue, and it had no hair. When it spoke, the ship's computers translated its words into English. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We are the Velthary Dominion. We have watched your species grow. We are pleased that you have finally reached the stars." Una bowed her head slightly. "Thank you. We come in peace. We wish to learn, to trade, and to be friends." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "How wonderful. The Dominion welcomes all young species. You will come to our capital world, Throne Prime. There you will meet the High Council." The channel closed. Doan and Una looked at each other. "That went well," Doan said. Una did not smile. "Perhaps. We should be careful." The journey to Throne Prime took 2 weeks. During that time, Dominion ships escorted the olive branch. The aliens were polite but distant. They answered questions with short replies. They did not let humans visit their ships. Hannah Lim spent those 2 weeks studying. She was young, only 26 years old, but she was the best language expert on the ship. She listened to every word the aliens spoke. She read every document they shared. Something was bothering her. One night she went to Ambassador Yuna's quarters. "I found something strange," Hannah said. She showed Una her computer pad. "Look at this word. The Dominion uses it when they talk about partnership with other species." Una looked at the screen. "What about it?" "It comes from an older word in their language. A word that means ownership. Service. The way they talk about partnership is the same way they talk about having servants." Una was quiet for a long moment. "Are you sure?" "No," Hannah admitted. "Languages are complicated. I could be wrong. But I wanted you to know." Una thanked her and sent her away. Then she sat alone in the dark, thinking. Throne Prime was a world of metal and light. Buildings rose so high they touched the clouds. Flying vehicles filled the sky like swarms of insects. Billions of beings lived there from dozens of different species. The humans were taken to a great hall. There they met the High Council of the Velthary Dominion. 12 species sat on 12 thrones. The greatest of them were the Mordiki, an ancient race that looked like giant insects. They had ruled the Dominion for 10,000 years. The Mordeki leader spoke. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "Humans, you are young. You are weak. but you have potential. The Dominion offers you protection. Join us, and you will be safe. You will learn. You will grow. Una stood before these powerful beings. She felt small, but she did not show fear.
We are honored, she said.
What does the Dominion ask in return? Only loyalty, the Mordecai said. Only cooperation. We will send advisors to your worlds. They will help you develop. They will show you the right path. Back on Earth, Admiral Taiho Shin watched the broadcast of this meeting. He was an old soldier with gray hair and hard eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth. He knew what conquest looked like, even when it wore a smile. Something is wrong, he said to President Sorachoi. The president was a woman of 50, wise and careful. She had led Earth through difficult times. What do you mean? They offer too much, Taiho said. They ask too little. In my experience, when someone offers you everything for nothing, they plan to take everything later. But the government did not listen to him. They were too excited, too hopeful. The Dominion had technology that could cure diseases, end hunger, and make humanity powerful. How could they say no? Earth accepted the Dominion's offer. Celebrations spread across the planet. People danced in the streets. They believed they had found friends among the stars. They believed the future was bright. Only a few people felt the cold wind of doubt. Una remembered Hannah's warning about the language. Taiho remembered how empires worked. Doan noticed that the Dominion ships never left Earth's orbit, even after the agreement was signed. But hope is a powerful thing. It can blind people to danger. It can make them see friends where enemies stand. In the Great Hall, on Throne Prime. The Mordecai leader watched the celebrations on Earth through a viewing screen. His mouthparts clicked together in what passed for a smile among his species. Another young species joins the fold, he said to his advisors. They always come willingly at first. They always believe we want to help them. Turned off the screen. Begin the integration process. Within 1 cycle, Earth will be just another servant world, and the humans will thank us for the privilege. The trap had been set. The humans had walked into it with open arms and open hearts, and now it was too late to walk away. 6 months passed. At first, everything seemed wonderful. Dominion advisors arrived on Earth and human colony worlds. They brought gifts of technology. Medicine that cured cancer. Machines that cleaned polluted air. Devices that produced endless clean energy. People loved them. Children drew pictures of the tall blue Veltheri and the insect-like Mordecai. Schools taught lessons about the Great Dominion and its peaceful rule over half the galaxy. Politicians gave speeches about the bright future ahead. But slowly, things began to change. Commander Jun Ho-beek noticed it first. He was stationed on a mining colony called New Sol, far from Earth. The colony produced rare metals that the Dominion wanted. At first, the Dominion asked for small amounts. Then they asked for more. Then they stopped asking. The quotas have been raised again, his supervisor told him one morning. We need to produce 3 times as much this month, Shinho frowned. That is impossible. The miners are already working 12-hour shifts, and make them work longer. Junho looked at the supervisor. The man would not meet his eyes. Behind him stood 2 Mordecai soldiers. They were tall, almost 3 meters, with hard shells and sharp claws. They carried weapons that could burn through metal. These are our new overseers, the supervisor said quietly. They will make sure we meet the quotas. That was the day Junho understood. They were not partners with the Dominion. They were not even allies. They were workers. They were property. He tried to contact Earth, but his messages were blocked. He tried to send a ship, but Dominion vessels surrounded the colony. He could only watch as his people were worked harder and harder. One day, a miner named Taiwan collapsed from exhaustion. He was an old man who had worked in mines all his life. When he fell, the Mordecai overseer walked over to him. Without a word, the overseer raised his weapon and fired. Taiwan's body turned to ash in seconds. Let this be a lesson, the overseer announced. Those who cannot work have no value. Return to your duties. Junho felt something break inside him. Not his courage. his hope, his belief that things would get better. In its place, something harder grew, something made of cold iron and burning anger. That night, he found a way to send one message to Earth. He attached a video of what the Overseer had done. He knew the Dominion would catch him. He did not care anymore. "This is Commander Junho Beak," he said into the recorder. "The Dominion is not our friend. They are using us. They are killing us. Earth must know the truth. Earth must fight back." He pressed send. Moments later, Mordecai's soldiers broke down his door. On Throne Prime, Ambassador Yuna had been asking questions. She wanted to know why Earth's military was being ordered to reduce its size. She wanted to know why human ships could no longer travel freely. She wanted to know why colonists were sending desperate messages that were never answered. No one would give her answers. The Dominion officials smiled and told her everything was fine. They told her the messages were lies from troublemakers. They told her to trust them. Yuna did not trust them anymore. She demanded a meeting with the High Council. For 3 weeks, they refused. Finally, they sent someone to see her. But it was not the council. It was a Mordecai general named Overseer Calith. Calith was enormous, even for his species. His shell was scarred from 100 battles. His 4 eyes looked at Yuna the way a person might look at an insect. "Ambassador," he said, "you have been asking too many questions." "I am a diplomat," Yuna replied. "Questions are my job." Calith made a clicking sound. It might have been amusement. "Let me save you time. The Dominion does not have partners. We have subjects. Your species was never welcomed as equals. You were cataloged as a labor species. Strong bodies, quick minds. Useful for mining, building, serving." Yuna felt her heart turn cold. "We signed a treaty of friendship. You signed a document of submission. Your translators showed you what we wanted you to see." Calith leaned closer. His breath smelled like metal and death. "Your people belong to the Dominion now. Your worlds, your ships, your lives, all of it is ours." Yuna stood her ground. "Earth will never accept this. Earth will have no choice. We have 10,000 warships. You have a few hundred. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. You learned to leave your planet only yesterday." Calith straightened up. "You will be taken to a holding facility. Your government will be told you died in an accident, and your species will learn its place." Guards took Yuna away. As they dragged her through the halls, she saw other prisoners. Humans from the colonies, men, women, even children. All of them had the same look in their eyes. The look of people who had trusted and been betrayed, but Yuna also saw something else. She saw members of other species watching from the shadows. They did not wear Dominion uniforms. They moved carefully, secretly. One of them, a small creature with gray skin and large eyes, met her gaze. It pressed a finger to its lips, a sign of silence. A sign of patience. Yuna understood. The humans were not the first species the Dominion had crushed, and not everyone had accepted their chains far away. On a diplomatic station orbiting a gas giant, Hannah Lim received a coded message. It was from a friend in Ambassador Yuna's staff. The message was short. They took her. "Get out. Bring the files." Hannah did not panic. She moved quickly and quietly. She had spent months gathering information about the Dominion. Military protocols, ship designs, communication codes. She copied everything onto a small chip and hid it in her clothing. Getting off the station was hard. Dominion security was everywhere. But Hannah was smart. She pretended to be sick. A medical ship took her to a human colony, one that had not yet been fully controlled. From there, she found a smuggler willing to take her to Earth. The journey took 3 months. Every day she expected to be caught. Every night, she dreamed of Mordecai's soldiers breaking down her door. But she made it. She made it home. On Earth, Admiral Taiho received Junho's message. He watched the video of the old miner being killed. He watched it 3 times. Each time, his face grew harder. Then Hannah arrived with her data chip. He read everything. Ship numbers. weapon capabilities, the names of human colonies that had been fully enslaved. He took everything too. President Sora Choi. The president watched the evidence in silence. When it was done, she sat very still for a long time. Then she stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city was bright with lights. People were living their lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. How many? She asked quietly. We have lost contact with 7 colonies, Taiho said. Millions of our people are already under their control. They are being worked to death in mines and factories. Anyone who resists is killed. Sora closed her eyes. And our military? They have been reducing our forces for months, saying we do not need weapons anymore. But I have kept ships hidden. I have trained soldiers in secret. We are not as weak as they think. Sora turned to face him. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. They came to us with smiles and gifts. We welcomed them like brothers. And they put chains on our children. She took a deep breath. Address the assembly. Address every human settlement. Tell them the truth. That night, President Sora Choi spoke to all of humanity. Her words reached every corner of Earth and every colony that could still receive signals. We were deceived, she said. We were betrayed. The Dominion does not want peace. They want slaves. They have taken our people, our worlds, our freedom. They believe we will bow. They believe we will break. Her voice grew stronger. You're wrong. We offered them our friendship. They answered with chains. If they believe humanity will kneel, they have made a fatal mistake. We are not slaves. We have never been slaves. And we will fight with everything we have until every human being is free. Across the galaxy, humans heard her words. Unoccupied worlds, in hidden camps, in the depths of mines. They heard their president's voice, and something that had been sleeping inside them began to wake up. Hope died that day, but something stronger took its place. The fire of war. The Dominion received Earth's declaration of resistance with amusement. In the Great Hall of Throne Prime, Overseer Calith read President Sora's words aloud to the High Council. When he finished, the gathered leaders made sounds of laughter. How delightful, said the eldest Mordecai. The insects think they can fight us. They have perhaps 300 warships, Calith reported. We have 10,000 in this sector alone. Their weapons cannot pierce our shields. Their engines are slow. Their soldiers are soft and weak. Crush them quickly, the council ordered. Make an example of Earth. Let every species in the galaxy see what happens to those who resist the Dominion. Calith bowed his great head. It will be done within one cycle. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of species. Some had fought back. All had lost. The pattern was always the same. First came hope, then despair, then submission. The Dominion knew how this story ended, but they did not know humans. On Earth, General Minho took command of all military forces. He was not a large man, and he did not look impressive. He had a round face and kind eyes. People who met him often thought he was a teacher or a doctor. They were wrong. Behind those kind eyes was a mind that never stopped thinking about war. Cannot beat them in a direct fight, he told his officers. Their ships are bigger, stronger, and there are more of them. If we line up and trade blows, we will die in an hour. Then how do we fight? Asked Captain Doan Park. Minho smiled. It was not a happy smile. We do not fight the way they expect. We do not fight fair. We fight like humans. He pulled up images on the display screen. Dominion warships, massive and powerful. Look at these ships. They are built for one kind of war. Line up. Fire, overwhelm. They expect enemies to face them head-on. They do not expect enemies to be clever. He changed the image to show the internal systems of a Dominion vessel. Hannah Lim brought us their military protocols. I have been studying them. Their ships are powerful, but they have weaknesses. Their navigation systems are very advanced and very delicate. If those systems fail, the ships cannot aim, cannot maneuver, cannot fight. How do we damage their navigation? Doan asked. Minho looked at a woman standing in the corner. Bora, show them. Engineer Bora Jang stepped forward. She was young, only 32, but she had already designed half the systems on Earth's newest ships. She was small and quiet, and she always looked tired. She also might have been the smartest person alive. Gravity disruptor, she said. Small devices that create unstable gravity fields, they are too weak to damage a ship's hull, but they can destroy sensitive electronics. She showed a small black sphere, no bigger than a fist. These can be mounted on fighters. Fly close to a Dominion ship, release these devices, and their navigation goes blind. The officers began to understand. They began to smile, but Minho was not finished. He called another person forward. Dr. Kuho Han, a thin man with glasses and nervous hands. He was a physicist who had spent his life studying how faster-than-light travel worked. The Dominion uses hyperspace corridors, Kuho explained. Fixed paths through another dimension. Very fast, very efficient, but also very predictable. Their ships can only enter and exit hyperspace at certain points. And our ships? Minho asked. Our engines are cruder, Kuho admitted, but that means they are more flexible. We can enter and exit hyperspace almost anywhere. The Dominion does not know this. They think we are limited to the same corridors they use. Minho nodded. They will come for Earth through the standard approach. They will expect us to be waiting for them there. We will not be. The plan was dangerous. It was desperate. It required every human being to work together in ways they never had before. But it was possible. For the first time since the betrayal, people felt something other than fear. They felt hope. While the military prepared, the resistance grew on occupied worlds. Ki Wano led the largest group. She had been a school teacher before the invasion. She had taught children to read, to think, to dream. Now she taught them to fight. Her cell operated on the mining colony where Commander Junho had been captured. The Mordeki had taken him to a prison on another world, but his message had inspired thousands. Workers who had been afraid began to find their courage. They hid weapons. They sabotaged equipment. They passed information to ships that still moved freely. We cannot defeat them here, K1 told her followers. Our job is to make their lives difficult. Every machine we break, every shipment we delay, every message we send is a small victory. Small victories add up. One night, her cell destroyed a power station that supplied the main mining complex. The Mordeki could not work the humans without light and air systems. It took them 3 days to repair the damage. 3 days of lost production, 3 days of rage from the overseers. The Mordeki executed 10 prisoners as punishment. Ji-won watched from hiding as the bodies fell. She felt grief, and she felt guilt, but she did not stop fighting. She could not stop. Those 10 deaths would mean nothing if humanity surrendered far away. In a Dominion prison, Ambassador Unikong sat in a small cell. She had been there for months. They fed her enough to keep her alive. They gave her nothing to do. They wanted her to break. She did not break. Every day she talked to her guards. The Mordeki ignored her, but other species served in the prison too. Small, gray creatures with large eyes. They were called the Roathi. They had been conquered by the Dominion 3,000 years ago. At first, the Rorothi would not speak to her. They were too afraid. But Yuna was patient. She learned their language, word by word, from the few sounds they made. She learned their history. She learned their pain. You were a great people once, she said one day to a guard named Terrell. You had art, music, science. The Dominion took it all away. Terrell did not answer. But his large eyes became wet. We will not submit, Yuna continued. Humanity will fight. And when we win, we will remember who helped us. And who did not. Weeks passed. Then one night Terrell came to her cell. He was not alone. 3 other Rorothi stood with him. We have listened to your broadcasts, Terrell whispered. Your president. Your people. You really mean to fight? Yes. The Dominion has ruled us for 3,000 years. We have forgotten how to resist. But watching you remember, Terrell pressed something into her hand. A key card. There are others like us. Other species who hate the Dominion. We have been waiting for someone to show us it is possible to resist. You have shown us. Una felt tears on her face. Thank you. Do not thank us yet. The war has not started. But when it does, you will not fight alone. On Earth, the preparations continued. Ships were armed with gravity disruptors. Pilots trained for a new kind of warfare. Scientists worked day and night to find more weaknesses in Dominion technology. Admiral Tai-Ho Shin stood in the command center and watched the reports coming in. The Dominion fleet had left Throne Prime. 3,000 warships, the largest force ever sent against a single world. They would arrive at Earth in 2 weeks. General Minho stood beside him. Are we ready? Tai-Ho thought about all the humans who had suffered, all the colonies that had been enslaved, all the friends he had lost to Dominion lies. No, he said honestly, we are not ready. We may never be ready. But we will fight anyway, and if we lose... Tai-Ho turned to look at him. His old eyes were calm and hard. Then we lose. But we will make them bleed for every meter of space. We will make them remember that Earth fought back. We will make sure that every species in this galaxy knows that humans do not kneel. He looked out at the stars. They think this ends us. Let them come. We will show them where it begins. The fleet approached. The hour of battle drew near. And on every human world, free or enslaved, people looked up at the sky and waited for the storm. The Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 3,000 warships arranged in perfect formation. Each vessel was a mountain of metal and fire, built to destroy worlds. At the center flew the flagship, a ship so large it could carry a small city. On its bridge stood Overseer Calith, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue dot in the distance. Earth, the homeworld of the troublesome species that dared to refuse the Dominion. Scan the system, Calith ordered. Find their fleet. His officers worked their instruments. Minutes passed. Their movements became confused. Overseer, there is nothing there. Nothing. No enemy ships detected. The space around Earth is empty. Calith's mouth parts clicked together. This was unexpected. He had anticipated a desperate last stand. Instead, the humans seemed to have given up. They are hiding, he decided. Move the fleet forward. Search every asteroid, every moon. They cannot have gone far. The great fleet began to move deeper into the solar system. The ships spread out to cover more space. Their sensors searched for any sign of human vessels. They found nothing. The fleet reached the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It was a vast field of rocks, some as small as houses, some as large as cities. Perfect for hiding. Overseer, an officer called out. I am detecting energy signatures in the asteroid field. Many small sources? Human fighters? No, sir. The signatures are too weak. They appear to be debris. Perhaps wreckage from old human ships. Calith considered this. Ignore it. Continue toward Earth. That was his first mistake. The debris was not debris. It was thousands of gravity disruptors placed carefully among the asteroids by human ships weeks before. They had been waiting silently, hidden in the rocks. When the Dominion fleet was deep inside the asteroid field, the disruptors activated. Chaos erupted. Gravity fields twisted and pulled in random directions. Dominion ships spun out of control. Their advanced navigation systems, so precise and delicate, went blind. Ships crashed into asteroids. Ships crashed into each other. In the first 5 minutes, 100 vessels were destroyed without a single human weapon being fired. What is happening? Calith roared. Before anyone could answer, the human fleet appeared. They did not come from ahead. They did not use the standard hyperspace corridors. They came from 3 directions at once, emerging from hyperspace at points the Dominion did not know were possible. Admiral Tai-Ho Shin had positioned his ships outside the solar system, waiting for this moment. All ships, attack. General Minho ordered through the fleet channel. Target their engines. Aim for their blind spots. Do not stop moving. Human ships were smaller than Dominion vessels. Faster, more agile. They darted between the confused enemy warships like wolves among confused cattle. They did not try to destroy the massive vessels. They crippled them. Engines hit. Weapon systems disabled. Communication arrays destroyed. Captain Doan Park led the assault from his ship, the Unbroken. It was not a large vessel, but it had the best crew in the fleet. Target the flagship's escort ships, he ordered. Clear a path. We are going straight for Calith. Its pilots obeyed without hesitation. They had trained for this. They had waited for this. Every human who had died in Dominion mines, every child taken from their parents, every colony burned to ashes. This was the answer to all of it. The battle raged for hours. The Dominion had more ships, bigger weapons, thousands of years of experience, but they had never fought an enemy like this. Enemies were supposed to face them directly. Enemies were supposed to die in neat, predictable patterns. Humans were not predictable. Doan's ship broke through the escort formation. The flagship loomed ahead, massive and terrifying. Its weapons fired at the Unbroken, but the small ship twisted and dodged. Gravity disruptors launched from its hull, striking the flagship's navigation systems. Their shields are down on the port side, Doan's weapons officer reported. We have a shot at their bridge. Take it. Yes. Missiles flew. They struck true. The flagship shuddered. On its bridge, panels exploded. Officers died at their stations. Calith was thrown to the floor, his shell cracked, purple blood flowing from a dozen wounds. But he was not dead. He dragged himself to a communication panel. Deploy the Worldbreaker, he ordered. Destroy Earth. If we cannot have it, no one will. Far behind the battle, a massive platform began to move. It had been hidden among the outer planets, waiting for this command. The Worldbreaker was the Dominion's ultimate weapon, a beam that could crack a planet's core and tear it apart. On the human flagship, Hannah Lim intercepted the order. Her face went pale. Admiral, she said, they are activating a planet killer. It will reach firing position in 20 minutes. Taiho closed his eyes for 1 second. When he opened them, they were calm. Send the message to the reserve force. We knew this might happen. The volunteers know what to do. The volunteer force was a group of 20 ships. Their crews had known from the beginning that they might not survive. Commander Junho Beek led them. He had escaped from the prison where the Dominion had taken him. He had stolen a ship and made his way back to Earth. He had asked for this mission. His small fleet turned away from the main battle and burned toward the Worldbreaker at maximum speed. All ships. Junho broadcast. We have one chance. Ram the platform. Break it apart. Do not stop for anything. The Worldbreaker saw them coming. Its defense systems opened fire. Ships exploded. Crews died. But they kept coming. Junho's ship was hit. Half his crew was killed in seconds. The vessel was falling apart around him, but the engines still worked. He could still steer. The Worldbreaker grew larger in his view. Its beam was charging. Blue light gathered at its core. In minutes, it would fire and Earth would die. Junho thought of his home. He thought of the children he had taught to fish in the rivers of New Seoul. He thought of his mother's face. For Earth, he said softly. For everyone who comes after. He pressed the throttle to maximum. His ship struck the Worldbreaker's core at full speed. The explosion was visible from Earth. A new sun briefly lit the sky. The Worldbreaker shattered. Its beam flickered and died. Earth was saved. In the main battle, the Dominion fleet fell apart. Without Calith's flagship to coordinate them, without the navigation systems to guide them, ships tried to retreat. But the hyperspace corridors were blocked by debris. They had no way out. Admiral Taiho offered them surrender. Some accepted. They were the lucky ones. Others tried to fight to the death. They found it. When the battle ended, over 1,000 Dominion ships had been destroyed or captured. The rest had fled, scattered to the dark corners of the solar system. Human losses were heavy too. Nearly half the fleet was gone. Tens of thousands had died. But Earth still stood. Doan's ship had captured the crippled flagship. Marines boarded it and fought through corridors filled with fire and death. When they reached the bridge, they found Caliph still alive. Barely, the overseer looked up at the human soldiers surrounding him. Blood pooled beneath his broken body. "Possible," he whispered. "You are nothing. Animals. You cannot defeat the Dominion." Doan stepped forward. He looked down at the creature who had caused so much suffering. "You were right about one thing," he said. "We were young. We were weak. We trusted you when we should not have." He knelt so his face was level with Caliph's. "But you forgot something important. Young things grow. Weak things become strong. And when you hurt someone badly enough, they stop being afraid." Caliph's 4 eyes dimmed. "This is not over. The Dominion will send more fleets. Hundreds more. You cannot defeat them all." Dohan stood up. "Maybe not. But today we defeated you. Tomorrow we will defeat the next fleet. And the day after? And the day after that? Until you learn that humanity is not prey." He turned to his soldiers. "Take him to the brig. The war is not over." He walked to the shattered window of the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, more battles waited, more pain. More death, but also hope. Humanity had been tested. Humanity had survived, and now the galaxy knew their name. News of the Battle of Sol spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. For 10,000 years, no species had defeated the Dominion in open combat. Many had tried. All had failed. Their names were forgotten. Their worlds turned to dust and silence. But Earth still lived, and everyone knew it. On Throne Prime, the High Council gathered in emergency session. The Great Hall, which had witnessed countless victories, now echoed with fear and anger. "How did this happen?" demanded the eldest Mordecai. "They are primitives. They learned to leave their planet only yesterday." "They adapted," another council member said quietly. "They studied our weaknesses. They fought in ways we did not expect." "Then we send more ships. 20,000. 50,000. We burn their world to ashes and scatter them to the void." But even as they spoke, reports came in from across the Empire. The Rarathi had risen on a dozen worlds. Tyrell, the guard who had helped Ambassador Yuna escape, had become a leader of the rebellion. Other species followed. The Velthari, the Keseth, the Pale Ones who had served in Dominion factories for 1,000 generations. All of them had watched Earth fight back. All of them remembered what freedom meant. The Dominion that had seemed eternal was cracking on Earth. President Sora Choi addressed the United Nations Assembly. The Great Hall was filled with leaders from every nation, every colony, every faction of humanity. They had fought among themselves for centuries. Now they stood together. "We have won a battle," she said. "We have not won the war. The Dominion will return. They will return with more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. This is not the end of our struggle. It is only the beginning." She paused. Her eyes swept across the assembly. "But we have proven something important. We have proven that we can fight. We have proven that we can win. And we have proven that we are not alone." A door opened at the back of the hall. Ambassador Yuna Kang walked in. She had escaped from the Dominion with help from Tyrell and his fellow Rarathi. She had traveled through dangerous space to return home. She was thin, tired, and her hair had turned gray from stress. But she walked with her head held high. Behind her came representatives from 5 alien species. The Rorothi, the Keseth, 3 others whose names humanity was only beginning to learn. All of them had chosen to stand with Earth against the Dominion. "I bring a message from our new friends," Yuna announced. "They say, we have been slaves too long. We have forgotten how to hope. You have reminded us, wherever you go, we will follow. Whatever you fight, we will fight beside you." The assembly rose to their feet. The applause shook the walls. The war continued for 10 more years. It was long and terrible. Human soldiers died on worlds they had never heard of before. Alien allies sacrificed themselves to protect human ships. Cities burned. Populations were scattered. Pain and loss touched every family on every world. But slowly, steadily, the tide turned. General Minho-Ru led the liberation campaigns. His strategies, once called impossible, became the standard for warfare against the Dominion. He freed colony after colony, world after world. The humans he rescued joined his forces and fought beside him. Admiral Doan Park commanded the fleet. He had once been a simple captain on a diplomatic ship. Now he led the largest armada in human history. His name became a symbol of hope. When his ships appeared in orbit, occupied people's new freedom was coming. Engineer Borajang created new weapons, new ships, new technologies. The gravity disruptor was only the beginning. She built devices that could blind Dominion sensors. She designed engines that let human ships travel where the enemy could not follow. Some said she was the most important person in the war, though she never accepted any medals or honors. Dr. Kuho Han opened new hyperspace routes, breaking the Dominion's control of travel. Trade routes that had been monopolized for millennia became free for all. Species that had been isolated reconnected with each other. Information flowed like water through cracks in a dam. G10 returned to teaching. She established schools on liberated worlds, places where human and alien children learned side by side. She taught them to read, to write, to think. She taught them that intelligence and kindness were stronger than cruelty. We fight so that someday we will not have to fight, she told her students. We kill so that someday our children will not have to kill. Remember this. Never forget what this war costs. And never forget what we are fighting for. Hannah Lim wrote the first complete dictionary of galactic languages. It took her 8 years. When it was finished, she dedicated it to those who spoke first with weapons but learned to speak with words. The dictionary became the foundation of diplomacy for generations to come. An ambassador. Unikong worked tirelessly to turn allies into partners and enemies into friends. She negotiated treaties, settled disputes, built bridges between species that had mistrusted each other for millennia. She was not a soldier, but many said she won as many victories as any general. In the final year of the war, the Dominion fell apart from within. The Mordeki hardliners were overthrown by moderates who wanted peace. Other species declared independence. The great empire that had ruled half the galaxy dissolved like morning fog. A new galactic assembly was formed. Representatives from 100 species gathered on a neutral world to build something better. Humanity was invited as a founding member. The first session was held in a hall of white stone and clear glass. Light streamed in from 3 suns. Beings of every shape and size filled the chamber. Some had been enemies only years before. Now they sat together as equals. Ambassador Unikong was chosen to give the opening address. She walked to the podium slowly. She was old now. The years of war had worn her down, but her voice was still clear and strong. "Friends," she began. "That is a word I never thought I would use for many of you. A generation ago, we were fighting each other. A generation ago, some of you wanted to enslave my people. Some of my people wanted to destroy you." She looked around the room. Faces from dozens of species looked back at her. But we are not here to remember old hatreds. We are here to build something new, something better, something that will last long after we are gone. She took a deep breath. When humanity first came to the stars, we offered peace. We offered friendship. We offered our open hands. The Dominion took those hands and put chains on them. They thought they could break us. They thought we would kneel. Her voice grew stronger. We did not kneel. We fought. And in fighting, we found something we did not expect. We found others who were also fighting. Others who had been slaves. Others who dreamed of freedom. We found that we were not alone. Tears appeared in her old eyes. We did not want war. We did not ask for blood. But when the Dominion left us no choice, we chose to survive. And now, together, we choose to build something better. A galaxy where no species rules over another. Where all voices are heard. Where all beings are free. She stepped back from the podium. We offered peace. They chose war. They lost. Now we offer peace again. Let us hope this time it is accepted." The assembly rose in unanimous applause. Species that had been enemies embraced. Old wounds began to heal. A new era had begun. Many years later, historians would write about this moment. They would call it the birth of the free galaxy. They would study the war, the battles, the heroes who had fought and died. They would try to understand how a young species from a small blue planet had changed everything. But the people who had lived through it knew the truth. It was not about strategy or weapons or technology. It was about something simpler. It was about beings who refused to give up, who chose hope when despair was easier, who stood together when standing alone would have been safer. Humanity had asked only to shake hands with the galaxy when that hand was slapped away. They learned to make a fist, and when the fighting was over, they opened their hands again, because that was who they were. That was who they had always been, and the galaxy would never forget.